So welcome to Hammer Time Podcast. This could be episode 56, it could be episode 58. We've had a few recorded that I haven't got around to actually editing yet because I've been very, very busy doing other things. So welcome to Hammer Time Podcast, episode 50-something. Here with the regular guests of the show. We have Casimir the Swede.
Yeah. Are we guests or are we hosts? That's the question.
I think you're hosts these days, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty regular, I would say.
Oh man, the feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels good.
I think you can definitely class yourselves as hosts. And of course I'm here with SassyAl, the Sasquatch himself.
What's up?
So today we're
Sasquatch, love it.
Today we're gonna go through some lists. We got asked by Luke Tranter, who is running Autumn Assault 2020. It's a UK ranked tournament. To do some list reviews. So we're probably not going to go through all the lists, but we've picked out a few select lists that we're going to talk about. And we're also going to give SassyAl some list building advice by going through all the Warriors of the Dark Gods lists. So that's what you can look forward to on this show.
Oh, it's going to be so awesome.
And I think first that we should explain the format of Autumn Assault. So I don't know if Casimir, you know,
please.
the gig.
So I did first, but then I looked at the lists and I kind of figured it out on my own. So let me guess. So it's a 4,500 point list event, but you are allowed to bring two lists. But 3,500 points of those two lists need to be the same. So essentially, you can switch out 1,000.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, that's the whole idea, is that you have two detachments of 1,000 points that you're allowed to play with, and before the game starts, you roll a dice, and the person who wins chooses their detachment first, and then you choose your detachment after they've decided.
So I actually, wouldn't it be even more interesting if it was a blind choice? I guess
that's what I thought.
Maybe that's different.
That's what I thought, but maybe it's difficult to do on UB. But yeah, that's basically the format. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through some of the most interesting lists that we found from each faction, and talk about each of the two detachments that they've chosen, and maybe think about like why they've chosen these, or whatever we can kind of come up with. So without further ado, let's go to the lists. So what was the first one, Casimir, that you wanted to talk about?
So I think we should start off right at the top with Kevin Stonebanks, who's running Beast Herds.
Yeah, Axel Vicious himself.
So exactly, and I think this is it's kind of a variation or two variations of the list he's been running recently. If you've been listening to Paired Weapons podcasts, where he has like a shit ton of Minotaurs.
Yeah. So what's in the base list, let's say?
Yeah, so he has a Minotaur Warlord with Aegor's Affliction, Paired Weapons with Blessed Inscriptions, and Crown of Horns.
That's pretty.
So that's the guy who hits
standard.
you back, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
This is Aegor's Affliction is Res 6 and 4+ Fortitude.
Oh, okay.
And the Paired Weapons Blessed Inscriptions is the weapon. Reroll to wound and divine attacks.
Yeah. And then he has a Minotaur Chieftain, who's a Greater Totem Bearer, Balstan Bearer, Heavy Armor with Death Cheater, and Great Weapon. So another 4+ Fortitude.
Yeah.
So for core, he has a unit of 3 Raiding Chariots, 24 unit of Wildhorn with Shields, Totem Bearer, and Gnarlhide. So let's see, Gnarlhide is that like a bounce spell, I guess?
Gnarlhide Totem, yeah, it's a bounce spell that gives distracting and +1 armor.
Okay, so it's definitely a tanking unit. Then he has a smaller 18 unit of Wildhorn or Herd with Paired Weapons and Throwing Weapons and Ambush. Then 6 Minotaurs with Banner of Speed, and Blackwing Totem, shields, another or Razor Tusk Chariots, 2 units of ambushing long herds with halberds, a unit of gargoyles, and a Razor Tusk herd, a single one.
Okay.
So that's the base, and the first variation, he has a Soothsayer Wisdom Master on Shamanism with Essence of Mithril, Ancestral Carvings, and Seeds of the Dark Forest on a Lucky Charm. So I guess a 2+ save and the Ancestral Carvings, is that the thing that makes him better at close combat, or?
Yeah, it gives him some extra attacks and some extra strength and distracting.
Yeah. Then he has another unit of 5 gargoyles and 2 raiding chariots.
Okay.
So for the other variation, he instead has a Soothsayer on a chariot, who's just an adept on evocation with magical heirloom, and then he has 2 Jabberwocks, and I thought that was quite interesting of a difference.
Yeah, well, I think this one is obviously aiming to be like the discipline counter list, right? Because with using Whispers of the Veil combined with Jabberwocks is quite an interesting strategy.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely only works against certain armies, right?
Yeah.
So it's a good idea in this kind of event to switch it up.
Yeah, so if you come up against an army where it doesn't work against, then you can choose the other list.
Yeah,
I think that's the idea,
that
right?
list is like a little bit more standard, I would say.
Yeah.
A bit more chaff, some more chariots, shamanism, magic.
Yeah. So I think that's quite an interesting that he's clearly has like a different strategy in mind for when he's playing against a certain list.
Yeah, I think the best I would say like the best way to do these kind of events is to have 2 like lists that play in 2 different ways, or at least are good against different lists. Because I mean, if you have 2 lists that act the same, then you become a victim to people who can kind of pair against you with their lists.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So which was the next one that you wanted to mention?
Yeah.
So maybe we could actually just quickly go through before we change lists. We can maybe just tell Alex about actually how this list works with the evocation.
Yeah,
Okay.
why are the Jabberwocks and this magic so good?
So the Jabberwocks have a special rule that everything within I think 6-inch aura has -1 discipline. Is that right, Casimir?
I actually don't know. I've never played against it, but something like that.
So and then the Beast Herd's hereditary spell. You cast it on one of your units, and you get fear and terror.
Okay.
And I believe it might even be able to buff it to give -1 discipline for the enemy in base contact. And then you have an evocation spell, which you have access to as an adept, that is called Whispers of the Veil, which you probably have come across at some point, because you use evocation. And that spell gives -1 discipline along with -1 resilience. So the idea behind this list is that you cast Whispers of the Veil on something, and you try and get the Jabberwock nearby at the same time, and then charge it with one of your Terror Causes and make it run away. So this strategy works.
I see.
But it doesn't work against enemies that don't care about fear or terror, because there's some armies that are fearless. Let's say warriors have a lot of fearless stuff, and you also have like demons and undead that don't run away. So in like a regular tournament, that wouldn't be necessarily the best strategy, because you could have matchups where you come up against stuff that half your army doesn't work against. Whereas in this kind of format, if you come up against an army like that, then you can just change your list. So that's the premise behind this one.
Yeah, and it's quite nice to see it played as well, and just because of that reason, you almost never see these kind of strategies played out on the table.
Because it's too risky going into a tournament where.
Yeah, you don't want to fight UD or some kind of undead and just have it do nothing.
Yeah, then you've sort of wasted a bunch of points on stuff that isn't going to do what you want, right?
Yeah.
exactly. So what's the next one, Casimir?
So I have to admit that I kind of just skipped over the demon lists because they weren't that like most of them didn't really have any changes. Like they didn't have any sideboards, and the one that didn't really have a very interesting one. And I jumped all the way down to Dwarven Holds to Peter's.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is my new, my new.
Tell me you're a little aroused by.
Exactly.
Hey.
There's just one dwarf player, and I'm not sure. I think his two lists are. I think they have like a theme that's good, but I'm unsure if the like actual lists are perfect. But I think what he's going for is the right idea. So for characters, he has like in the base list, he has a runic smith with 3 battle runes, so 3 spells, and then 3 runes of shielding. So that means that he will always have a 4+ Aegis. Then he has a Thane BSB with Holdstone, obviously, and 2 runes of lightning on a hand weapon. So this means that when he hits if he hits something, he gets to add 2d3 strength for hits. And then an Anvil of Power, so that's like a stationary free bounce spell thing. Then in core, he has 27 Greybeards with shields, with standard of the Relentless Company, and he has and a command. Then he has 20 marksmen with shields and handguns and a musician. He has 6 Hold Guardians with a runic standard of wisdom and musician champion, which the standard means that they get to have a bounce spell that they can cast on only their own units. Then he has a Grudge Buster, which is the chariot thing, 2 attack copters in separate units, and a cannon. So that's the base list.
Sounds like a lot of shooting.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, he has only 20 marksmen, so that's 20 shots, and then like 2 copters and a cannon.
And the
So
Grudge Buster.
Yeah, and a Grudge Buster, that's true. But it gets to be more, obviously, in one of the lists.
Yeah.
So the first list, I would say, is the shooting variation. So then he adds in 10 rangers or skirmishing rangers with shields, crossbows, and grip weapons. Then he has 2 units of miners with just shields and 2 flame cannons. So in the second list, instead of that, he adds in 24 vanguarding seekers with musician champion and a grudge buster. So then he has an aggressive list with another combat block and 2 grudge busters.
Interesting. So what do you think he's going for here?
So I think the idea is that he has one list where if he looks at his opponent and then he says, I can push this game, then he takes the Seekers and the additional Grudge Buster, and he tries to go for more points. And if he looks at the list and he says, well, like I'm not going to win the combats, then he takes the 2 Flame Cannons to kind of fight the units and a bit more shooting and sits back.
Okay, interesting. And so he's kind of going for like a aggressive defensive kind of strategy.
Exactly, and I think this kind of event, when you told me about it, when I thought about like how would I build a dwarf list for this event, I think that's the right call, because I mean dwarves have quite an issue with being aggressive. You know, like if you have an aggressive dwarf list and you face the wrong opponent, you just die. And so in this case, I think it's really good, because then you can decide, like, is this a game where I want to push or not? And if you come out against a bad matchup, you can just kind of take a gunline-ish kind of list and sit back and still score some points.
Okay, interesting. Is there anything in the list, Alex, that you thought that you didn't know, or?
Yeah, like what's the deal with the flame cannon?
Yeah, so it's
what's the range on that?
It's like a stationary artillery weapon with only, I think, 24 inches range, so it's a little bit shorter than the other ones, but it essentially does damage based on how many ranks there are in a unit. I can't quite recall the exact rules, but it's something like it hits on a 2+, I believe.
Always hits on a 2+.
Yeah, so
it's pretty good.
It's very well, and then it does something like D6 strength 4, and then plus D3 per rank or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Something like that. So essentially, it's really
at short range. I think they go to strength 5 and do multiple wounds D3.
Okay,
that's nice. Really broken.
Yeah, and it's very cheap. It's only 145 points for it. But I like the issue I would say is that if your opponent doesn't come to you, then they don't do anything. So that's also why it's quite good in this type of environment, because if you see somebody who's going to run at you, then you can take them and know that they're going to perform.
And they're stationary, like you can never move them.
I mean, you can move them, but then they can't fire that turn.
Yeah, okay, but
yeah, you can move them like I don't know, like 3 or 9 inches or something.
I think it's 3 inches.
3 inches, okay.
There only dwells
Yeah, so I think overall for this list, the error I think that he's making in this list design is that he's taking way too much magic. So he has in total 7 runic bound spells. So he has 3 from the anvil and 3 from the runespiff, and then he has an additional one on the hold guardians. I think realistically, you're never gonna cast more than 4, at most 5 bound spells per turn. So I think he's taking at least 1 too many, or maybe even 2, depending on how you select them.
Okay.
So, for example, what I would do probably is that you could either drop the runic smith entirely and go for a better general that fights better. And then you still have like 3 on the anvil and 1 on the hold guardians, because the hold guardians is the unit that really needs the magic in this list. Or you could drop the runic standard of wisdom on the hold guardians and go for something better, like banner of speed, or something that makes them more fight better.
Okay. So what do you think about the kind of the seekers in the second list? Because I feel that they're like a little bit out of place without their buddies, another 24 unit of seekers.
So I think that you could select Vanguard on the hold guardians, I guess, and in that way you can still have 2.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
And if you think about the Greybeards with the banner of a relentless company, like if you have the first turn and you Vanguard the 2 other units, then you can march the Greybeards 15, and then you'd still have like 3 units that are kind of at the same point in the battlefield.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so it can really push opponents as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's the best way to push, but it has the option to do so.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like it. So what's the next list?
Yes, so there's actually no Empire Sunstal or Highborn Elves in the list or in the events.
That surprises me a little bit, because I would have thought that like an obvious choice in the Highborn Elf list would be like having a Wizard Master on a dragon, and one of them being with alchemy and one of them being with pyro.
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking about doing when I heard about this tournament.
But yeah, I guess like so would you say that Highborn Elves are still considered weak, or
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that was also because the last I heard about the few previous events is that Highborn Elves were doing quite well, so I was also surprised that not see them.
Yeah, I mean, no one taking them is quite unusual, right?
Yeah, but I guess also, I mean, it's a UB tournament, so people get to try different things and so on. There's a lot of Infernal Dwarfs, for example.
There's also like 2 people playing Maka.
Yeah, that's quite interesting as well.
So I also played Maka last weekend. At a tournament.
Is it fun?
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know about my opponents, but
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So for the Infernal Dwarf list,
Yes.
I took a guy called David Prokopovich, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but let's go with it. Let's see. Yeah, so here he also has like 2 quite one quite defensive and one quite aggressive list, or at least like a defensive variant of an aggressive list. So the base of the list is a prophet on a great bull who is a wizard master on occultism. He has the Flame of the East hand weapon, Ring of Desiccation, and the Obsidian Rock. So Flame of the East, is this the one that adds in incendiary counters to whatever you're touching? Or I'm trying to remember.
I don't know the Infernal Dwarfs book well enough, to be quite honest.
Yeah, me neither. But anyway, I think it's not extremely important for how the list functions.
No.
So let's continue. So then he has a Tarok Commissioner. So that's the bigger size Tarok with Battle Standard Bearer, Banner of Speed, Infernal Weapon, Shield, Talisman of Shielding, and Unflame. So unflame, I'm pretty sure, means that he can shut down flaming if he
Yeah,
needs to.
exactly.
And then he has a Prophet of Nesibkesh, who is a wizard adept on pyromancy.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the Nesibkesh is the engineering one.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So then for core, he has two units of 30 Infernal Warriors with shields, great weapons, and flaming standards and full command.
Yeah.
And then he has, so they get to fight in like a lot of ranks, right?
Yeah, has the new update been released yet? I think it has, right?
Ooh,
I'm
which
not
one are you
sure.
referring to? I'm not sure. Like, I feel like it was a while ago since they released a new version.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I think they fight an extra rank regardless.
Yeah, Great Whipper and fight in X rank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
checking out.
loads of attacks and
Yeah, so I think this
block.
is quite a good way to spend your core. Then he has a unit of 5 Torok Anointed with Infernal Weapons, Shield. They have a Standard Bearer with Pride of Salam Tekash, which I'm not sure exactly what it does. It's a magical banner.
It used to be the one that you have a wall,
Ooh.
but I don't know if that got changed or not.
I'm looking now. Yeah, it's the wall one. It's still there. So that's quite interesting, actually. I'm not sure exactly what he wants to do with that, like on a monsters cab unit.
I guess he just like runs them up in front of stuff and then just plonks the wall down and says, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah, I guess it makes a fighting unit really, really difficult to fight. So
yeah, well, it's essentially
And
distracting in the first round of combat, right?
yeah, and Torque Anointed are quite good defensively as well.
Yeah.
So then so that's the base of the list, and then for the first version, he adds in an Infernal Artillery, which is a rocket battery with cluster munitions. So that's the one that gets to like hit a unit next to another unit after you shot something.
Yeah.
Then he has 7 Vassal Cavalry with a Musician and a Vassal Chieftain. He has another Infernal Artillery with a Titan Mortar with Ether Cloud, and I believe that's the one that gives like fucks up channeling.
Yeah,
and
that's
magic.
correct.
And then he has a Vassal Slingshots to make stuff flammable. So this is obviously quite a lot of extra shooting, so that I think he can sit back if he wants to. But it's still not a gunline list because nothing else really shoots in the list. But it gives him the option to not to play.
It's actually quite a lot of blocks, right? Because he has 3 kind of combat blocks in his main list.
Yeah, so exactly. So I mean, it's still quite a balanced list. But I think if he faces somebody that he's not going to run at, then he can take this list and sit back and still take out some stuff on the way in.
Yeah.
So for the second version, he instead has an Infernal Engine with a Rock Crusher and a Kadim Titan, and that's it.
So two big monsters.
Yeah, exactly. So I think really this is again like a list I think that's doing this this version of an event right, because he kind of skews at least one of his lists a lot in one direction. I mean, he has 3 monsters essentially and 3 blocks.
He also has the Great Bull as well.
Yeah, that's the third monster.
Yeah, so I guess if he's not playing against cannons and not playing against like divination or something like that, then he can take the monster list, and against anything else, he can take like the shooting list.
Yeah, but the problem I'm not sure if it is a problem, but for me I would think so, is the fact that the list that pushes has no chaff at all. It's essentially it's 3 blocks and 3 monsters. That's
I guess it's like when you get to, I played against Oliver using a similar list at the weekend, and he had kind of too many combat threats to chaff. So like my chaff couldn't really do its job because I just had too many units running at me basically. So I think in this list, when you have two like big monsters, a big unit of monsters cav, 2 big units of warriors, and also a great bull, like there's only so much that your chaff can do.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
so
I like this list as well. I think it's the pairing of lists. I think they're both really good.
Yeah.
Good choice, Casimir.
Nice. Let's
So
see.
what's the next one?
So let's see. Then we're down at KOE, I believe. Or let's see. Is there five? Yes. And I picked out
I
the.
genuinely believe that all KOE lists are exactly the same. They're literally like knights and then a few different like configurations of character with different weapons and stuff, and at least one master wizard, and then you have like a smattering of war machines, and you always have 2 units of chaff. So it's either
Yeah.
like war
I
machines
mean,
or Pegasus knights. That's
yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
gonna guess.
I mean, I think you're right. So, but I think that the one person here has done, or I think actually a lot of the KOE players have like lists that kind of trade out those like some of the elements to like make them better at doing different things. So I'm looking at Shay Davis Smith, who's the first one on the KOE lists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that his 2 lists don't like particularly do very different things, but they are like one is quite geared to killing monsters and single characters, whereas the other one is more about killing blocks and grinding.
Yeah, so
Just because
the trebuchets
of
and the
what,
scorpions are just like do 2 different things, but it's so he's gone for either 2 trebuchets and a druidism master, or 2 scorpions and a divination master and a wizard adept on druidism. So
yeah,
that's it. Like
yeah. I think I mean, it's not extremely interesting, but I think it's quite a good way again of doing this. This event where if you need to kill monsters, then you have a list that does that.
yeah, I mean the trebuchets also kill monsters, but
Yeah, but just I wouldn't say as well as a divination master and 2 scorpions probably.
no, probably not. Was this the list that you wanted to look at?
Yeah, I think this is the one that does this concept the best. The other
Okay,
ones
sure.
are
So
shift.
maybe you just want to actually go through it instead of me rinsing on it to start with.
Yeah, so he has his general is a duke on a warhorse with a shield and a lance, and he has divine judgment on the lance, and then he has a bastard sword. He has audacity, questing oath. So audacity is just the one that adds extra attacks when
Yeah,
you charge.
exactly. A number of wounds you do, you get extra attacks, I think.
Yeah, so,
And then
like super.
the judgment is D3 wounds, I think.
Okay, so basically super killy duke that kills
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I think it's pretty standard build.
Yeah, then he has a paladin on foot with Willow Sword on a shield, who's the battle standard bearer. He has a bastard sword, piety, so he can go on foot, and questing oath as well, because it's just the best oath. Then
Yeah.
11 Knights of the Realm with Banner of the Last Charge, so that's the impact hits banner and command.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the Duke goes in there, right? Like 11, so you make it 12.
I think he isn't it something like that you can't have characters if you want to have Banner of the Last Charge.
I don't know.
Just feels weird with 11 because you get the extra things for every rank, right?
Yeah, but Alex, Kingdom of Equitaine, they only need 3 people in the rank.
Yeah, but still 11 instead of 12.
Yeah, you can put a damsel in there as well.
Okay, all right, the damsel in.
Yeah, but she's not a unicorn though, so anyway, I'm not sure exactly why, but I believe that you can't have characters and the impact its banner at the same time.
Okay.
So then it has like 20 peasant bowmen with crossbows and a musician. He has 5 knights aspirants, so a little dart. Then 31 forlorn knights with Banner of Relentless Company, musician champions. So the BSB probably goes in here. These are the guys on foot with like spear or great weapon, I guess.
Yeah.
Then 11 questing knights, and here is where I would think that the Duke goes with full command. Then 2 units of chaff with throwing weapons, and then in the first list is the damsel, who's a druidism with a master on a unicorn with wafers of penitence, which I have no idea what it does.
I think it gives you extra dispel something.
Yeah, okay. And then 2 trebuchets, and in the second list he switches out the damsel and the trebuchets for wizard master on divination with wafers again, but also Binding Scroll and Unicorn. Then a damsel on a horse with druidism, and I guess now this damsel will probably go into the Banner of Last Charge unit.
Yeah.
And then 2 scorpions.
Wafers of Penitence just sound like that really crappy tasting like host that the Catholics serve when you go to get communion.
I
It's
don't
like
think
a really.
I don't think you're
I don't
far
know-
off, to be honest.
I don't know if you guys have ever been to like a Catholic service, but like if
Yeah,
you go
but
get communion, there's these like really, really bad. They look like it's like they'd be perfect if there was like Nutella and nougat like wedged between them, and they were like they're all. It's like imagine like a really good wafer cookie with none of like the
good stuff.
in it, and it's like that's what you're getting.
I
Oh,
think
man. I mean,
that's exactly what it is. It's just like nasty wafer that you eat it and then like you poop out like a little ether cloud, and the ether cloud flies over the enemy wizard and kind of somehow reduces the channel or something like that.
I see. So like the mechanics is the same as the ID, basically.
I don't know off the top of my head what it does exactly, but it's something
No,
like
no,
that.
no. I meant with the ether cloud.
Yeah, but you just fart it out after eating the wafers. So basically, the ID have just enslaved all the damsels from Equitane, and like keep them locked up in some kind of citadel in the infernal lands. And then when they need these special ammunitions, they just feed them the wafers and then bottle the gas afterwards.
You think that they collect damsel farts
Yeah.
for battle? That is the oddest.
I'm on the background
most
team, bro.
believable theory.
I can tell you what's actually happening out there.
Okay, like everything you say is canon. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Except when he's trying to get us off the trail, trying to lead us down the garden path, as they say. Sneaky Henry P. That's what they call him.
Yeah.
Sneaky Henry P. Yeah. Okay. So the scorpions, I guess, are the anti-monster.
Yeah, they're like a basic bolt thrower, I think. So strength 6, D3 wounds, AP 10.
But they're clip wings, so they do an extra wound against flyers.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So compared to the trebuchet, it's like a cheaper version that does a little bit more against flyers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think mainly what he gets from switching is that they're probably more accurate, and they also, you add in the divination instead of druidism.
Big question then, like why have trebuchets?
Because they absolutely kill like blocks, because it's a stone thrower strength 5, and
Okay.
they do.
So it's like a big area attack.
Yeah. So or strength 4 rather, not strength 5, right? Strength 4.
I think it's strength 4, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, like a normal stone thrower is, it's only really good against like weak or low toughness, resilience rather, infantry, so like elves or goblins and stuff like that. Whereas trebuchet is quite good against warriors and dwarves and so on as well.
Yeah, exactly. So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah. So next is Makar, but I actually don't know the Makar book really at all.
Well, you're lucky that you're talking to someone who came second at the weekend in a tournament with using a Makar.
Yeah, so maybe you can select one of the 2 lists at random and talk about it.
Okay.
I would say don't take the first one because it seems like it's there's not a big difference between the 2 lists.
Okay.
Shane Baxter has like quite a variety.
So I think I will take Shane Baxter's Makar list at first glance. So the base of the list is a Taltos, which is a Wizard Master. So that's just your kind of your standard sorcerer. On a Dark Chariot with Thaumaturgy, he's got Alchemist Alloy,
Yes.
Talisman of Shielding, and a Potion of Strength. So this is like a standard Wizard Master on a Chariot with a bit of defense. I think he gets 3-up, 5-up save with Alchemist Alloy.
And these guys are like these are like the horsey warriors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, with a potion of strength, he can still like punk something quite big as well.
Yeah, he's only got one attack, so yeah.
Yeah, but still, like it gives you the
Stomp.
option.
Yeah.
It gives you stomp.
So he's got 15 lancers with a shield, musician, champion, and lancers. 2 times 8 horse archers. 3 times 20-ish Tamir vassals with bows. 2 times 12 Karkadan
Ooh.
herds. He's got 2 nomadic
Ooh.
giants with giant recurve bows. And he's got 5... Oh, sorry. I'll take that one back. He doesn't have the giants, but he does have 5 flayers with skinning lash. So this is has a lot of shooting. The horse archers are kind of like hit and run cavalry, and he's got 2 big units of Karkadan herd to, I would say,
Yes.
zone out anyone that wants to kind of come near the vassals, because the vassals are on foot and they're quite slow and vulnerable. And also
So,
the
I mean,
lancers kind of do the zoning job as well.
So Karkadan herd is like basically. Are they basically just Karkadans like straight out of the Warrior book?
Yeah,
but
exactly. Just without the
but just with
rider.
no one on them.
Yeah.
So they must be a little bit weirder without a rider, right? Like
I think they
do they have
have
some special
they
rules
get
or
some
something?
kind of extra impact hit mechanic. I forget exactly what it does, but I think they when they charge they get impact hits
Mhm.
compared to the Karkadan that only gets attacks.
Okay.
So it's a little different to in the Warriors, but it's the kind of same stat line.
Because they're
Yeah,
pretty big, like so I'm guessing they have what, like 2 or 3 HP each, or what?
Yeah,
I
I think
think 3.
three hit points each.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty big. I mean, that's 36 hit points
Yeah,
per unit.
yeah. Res
Yeah,
4, I think maybe a
not
6 up
bad.
save.
Not bad.
Yeah, and they hit really hard, and there's 12 of them, and I think maybe their impact hits go up in strength as they get ranks or something like that.
Probably it seems like that's like a mechanic
That'd be
for
cool.
almost all impact hits.
That sounds cool. I mean, so basically they've got, and they're pretty fast, right? Their movement's pretty fast.
Yeah, I think it's 7. Yeah, and so
But
we
as
have
far as
sorry?
yeah, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, as far as like attacking units, right? Like he's got the vassals with bow. I'm guessing, like they sound pretty ranged. 8 horse archers sounds pretty ranged.
Yeah.
So you've got like the Karkadan herds and the lancers and your chariot guy's not really gonna be running in anytime soon. So I'm guessing that like what he's got left, he's gonna need to spend on
Yeah. So it's actually
things that can
I think
fight.
he's made some interesting choices with the 2 detachments. So I think we'll go for number B first. So he's added a Goyler on a chariot with shield, paired weapon, shield breaker, and dragonfire gem. So this is just an extra character to add a bit of punch to the rest of the army, which
Is
is
this like a chieftain, or
sorry?
is this like a barbarian chieftain type of character?
Yeah, similar. It's
Okay.
more close to it's in the middle of like a barbarian chieftain and a chosen lord.
Okay.
And then he's got 3 marker chariots. So I don't know whether he's probably putting the characters in with these chariots to make kind of uber units, which is kind of one of the things that we see these days. Which is for me it's like a zoning piece, but also a pretty solid combat block if he wants it to be. So it adds
So
a
just
lot
like
of
charging.
yeah exactly. It adds a lot of zoning pressure to what's otherwise already good zoning army. With the shooting, and he's also got a Turrel, which is like an ambush chimera, and the Turrel ambushes from impassable terrain.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the
What is the
other list he's
just like
got is adding 2 more units of marker flayers with skinning lashes, and 2 nomadic giants with giant recurve bows. So I think with this one he's he's going for like a more shooting avoidance approach. So in the armies that probably have like no pyro or less shooting, he can go with these and play really like avoidance, zoning, lots and lots of shooting, almost like a gunline list. Compared to the other list where if he's going against stuff that he actually needs to fight, he can take the chariots.
Yeah, I mean, also with Thaumaturgy, you can like get Wrath of God to try to scatter the armies,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
pick off units that are on if they split up, you know.
yeah.
So he only needs the Lancers and the Karkadans to like chase down guys that he's picked off.
Yeah, exactly. And the marker do that very well, especially with all the fast cav from my experience.
And like the Flayers just like slipping in and just like annoying the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, the flares are so good.
Yeah,
Basically, right?
Skinning lash. Does that? That's the what's it called? Like reaping. Like they do hits when they move over stuff.
Strength for AP1 sweeping attack.
Pass within 1 inch of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you like pass within 1 inch of an enemy unit, and that's when you get to do it. And it's like I guess it counts as during your movement you pass within 1 inch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the question
end up somewhere.
The question I had about this list is that like how or why isn't he taking a BSB in this case?
Honestly, I don't know. In my opinion, I mean, I used the Goyler with the Mare's Shelter, which gave me an 18-inch Discipline 9 bubble. But honestly, I have no idea. I think most of the army is Discipline 7 or 8. So, and the Taltos, who's a general, is also Discipline 7. So I think he's going to be failing a lot of discipline tests here. But saying that, Shane is known for writing some interesting lists.
Okay.
And I mean interesting. I mean fucking weird.
But he's done quite well with some stuff, right? Like I remember hearing that he won a few events with some weird stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I guess if you play to that, like you know that you're gonna fail a lot of leadership tests, and I guess you can kind of mitigate it instead of when you play to not fail them, and then it fucks everything up.
Yeah. I mean, I with my tournament at the weekend, I think I failed like there was always like one discipline test in each game that I failed, and my unit fled off the table or something like that. But it wasn't too bad. It was at times when it didn't matter too much. So I guess in that respect, I was lucky, or I played well. But I mean, I think like the Karkadans especially, I think they may be fearless, but they're only discipline 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very risky list, I would say.
Would you say it's a good list or?
No. I honestly, as we talked about, like the discipline in this army is quite low, and I think he's going to struggle when he starts fleeing and not rallying, and because when you flee charges and start doing the parting shot, if you fail that rally test, not only can you not move and not shoot, but you also can't move and shoot the next turn as well.
Yeah.
And that really hurts you when you're playing Marker.
Yeah, so I guess to explain to Al what that rule is, like basically the Marker have a special rule for the horse archers where they can declare a flee and shoot at the same time. So which is the parting shot.
Cool.
Henry is referring to. So you can kind of get like an extra, but I think is the volley like a little bit worse than the normal one or something like that. Maybe it's like -1 to hit.
Yeah, I mean you still get -1 to hit.
Oh no, you get like a shorter flee distance, I believe.
Yeah, it's minimized, but that's actually perfect. I think it's actually a good thing, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Because
you stay closer to the fight.
No, because it's more standardized. Because you're adding another dice and discarding the highest and the lowest, so you're always fleeing between like 7 and 9 inches on average.
Okay, so you actually roll 4 dice. You don't just like like have the two take out each other. Okay.
Yeah, so you roll 4 and you discard the highest and lowest. so it actually averages out a lot better, which actually makes it easier to kind of guess where you're going to end up and how far you need to be away from the enemy.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
That's at least how I found it and how I played it. Maybe I played it wrong, but
Yeah, I don't know. So the next faction up is Ogre Khans, and there's only one list by Jack Payne. So I think in this list is another person who's gone for like an aggressive and a balanced list. So in the standard, in a standard list, he has a shaman who's a general on Wisdom Master on Thaumaturgy, with Mammoth Hide Cloak, an Iron Fist, Magical Heirloom, and Potion of Strength. So Mammoth Hide Cloak, I mean, it gives, I don't remember exactly what it does. Is this the one that makes you like extra resilience?
I think it's you can't get your all attacks. You can't get wounded on better than 4+. Basically, all attacks are strength higher than strength 5 are limited to strength 5.
Okay, so it's kind of like a Shamanism Light.
Yeah, exactly.
Then he has a Mammoth Hunter with Wrestler's Belt, Iron Fist, Hunting Spear, Rampager's Chain, Troll Eater, Leader of the Pack. And that's a lot of things that I actually don't know what's going on with.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
I mean, Leader of the Pack means he's going to go in a unit of Saber.
Troll Eater is 4+ Fortitude and multiple wounds 2 against large infantry.
Yeah, I guess
yeah, leader of the pack means he's joining the Saber-tooth Tigers most of the time.
Yeah, I mean he's quite a beefed up hunter. He's quite fighty, I believe, with this setup.
Yeah, I mean 440 is fairly
yeah,
pricey.
It's quite expensive. Then he has a Khan BSB with plate armor, halberd, paired weapons, Iron Fist, Great Weapon, and Horde Master. So this is probably Weapon Master.
Yeah, Weapon Master. And
yes,
all the weapons and plate armor.
Yeah, so he doesn't have any more defense, but I guess if you can switch in an Iron Fist to get parry, then that's pretty
and 3+ save.
Yeah. He has a unit of 9 Bruisers with full command. Then he has 8 Sabertooth Tigers, a dart of 3 Bruisers, 2 units of 3 Tusker Cavalry with great weapons and musicians, 1 Kin Eater, and that's the base list. Okay. So I would say, except for the Sabertooth units, it looks like a pretty standardish like ogre list. Like, of course, not all the hunters, but still pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Sabertooths are becoming a little bit more popular these days.
Okay.
Can you guys explain the Mammoth Hunter?
Yeah, that's the one with a lot of stuff that we don't actually know what it does. I think I guess it's the Wrestler's Belt and Rampager's Chain is the things that I'm not sure exactly what they do.
Wrestler's Belt gives +1 strength and +1 armor, and I'm not sure about Rampager's Chain, to be honest.
So I would believe that this is like quite a fighty character who's also fast. So he goes in a unit of the Tigers. So I guess they're like a swift stride with movement 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, so it's like really he has like quite a long threat range to charge out the unit or charge with the unit and stuff. And then with a 4+ Fortitude, and I assume he goes up to a 4+ save as well.
Yeah, and the hunting spear is like a shooting weapon that does multiple wounds against big stuff, I think, or maybe just in general multiple wounds. And then the Wrestler's Belt combines with that because the hunting spear is shooting at your strength, and and then the Wrestler's Belt gives him an extra strength.
So he's like an actual bolt forward.
Yeah, strength 6. Yeah.
Just one more question, because I don't know how the bases work. So, like, tigers sound like they would be on a long base.
Yeah.
So, isn't it usually that when you join another unit, that if you don't have the same base size, you stand out from the unit or something like that?
Yeah, you kind of tag on the side of a unit. So he would maybe have the tigers in a 4x2 formation, and then the like an ogre base on the side.
Yeah, okay.
Or maybe 5x3, I'm not sure.
But he's just gonna kind of like stick out the side of it.
I think
Does
a
that mean
lot of
that
the
he can be
time
targeted
he can
separately,
actually
or?
stand in the base because it's not a mismatching base because
It's not?
he's on a 50 mil base rather than an ogre
Oh,
size
okay.
base because the leader of the pack upgrades him to that base size.
Okay, so then he takes the space of 2 tigers, so they
Yeah.
have the footprint of 5x2 cavalry.
Exactly.
Oh, so then he can join because the footprint lines up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so
But good
then
question.
then for the two for the sideboards in the first list, he just adds lots of bombardiers. So that's the shooting ogres. He has a unit of 6 with musician, a unit of 4 with musician, and then just a unit of 4. So I think it's like quite obvious here that this is the defensive list where if he can't run at something, then he's just gonna like add in a ton of shooting and kind of sit back and do kind of like a little bit more of an MSU kind of business or MMU.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then instead, in the other list, when he's like, now I'm gonna push, then he adds in 2 rocks with ogre crossbows.
Yeah. Because why not?
Yeah, so I think this is quite good because the rock is
Maybe you should just explain to Alex what
is
the
relatively
Rock does.
Yeah.
It's like it's a monster on the like a massive base. It's the same size as the Wasteland Behemoth, and
Okay.
it halves all the multi wounds it receives, so it's quite resilient. And then it has what is it like base strength 6, and when it charges strength 7.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like 3d3 impact hits, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
And the impact hits have multiple wounds, or is that something else?
that's something else.
Yeah, something else. Okay, so he does like a ton of strength 7 impact hits, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
then
impact
he
hit
has-
strength 7 and is pretty hard to kill.
Seems pretty cheap.
It's I would say it's like quite again like quite matchup dependent because they can also be a liability if somebody is good at killing monsters. Like they just focus everything on your rocks, and once they're dead, like you lose so much out your list that it's not
Yeah.
worth.
Okay.
Like I found for at least previous iterations, UD had quite a good matchup against ogres. I found, and it looks scary when he deploys them, but then like you just kind of like a lot of times you are able to like chaff them or sacrifice the unit, and if you charge a rock, then it just dies most of the time because it doesn't get to do the impact hits.
Yeah.
Even though it's like halving its the wounds and stuff.
Multiple,
Yeah, but
only
like
multiple wounds.
yeah. So imagine if you charge them with like a unit of monstrous infantry, for example, and then you hit them on freeze and you wound them on force or something, and suddenly they just disappear. So in that sense, I think this is like another good use of the
Yeah,
of
to
the
have
map.
to have like two kinds of strategies going into a game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see. So then we have orcs and goblins, but to be fair, I couldn't really figure out like what a lot of these lists do, so I haven't picked out one of them because it's just like a lot of stuff.
Okay. Looks like a lot of orcs. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like nothing really like stood out to me as very interesting. So I think we can move to Saurians with Colin Power
sure.
because I think this is another like quite good list. Let's see. Yes. So to start off with, he has 2 Quattles in this list. So one is a Battle Standard Bearer on Alchemy, and the other one is a General on Pyromancy. So like all the death. So like just a lot of magic. And then he also has a Skink Priest who's a Wizard Adept on Shamanism with the Sun Tablet. And I believe Sun Tablet is the one where he gets to pick any spell he wants.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
So basically he gets the best spells from Shamanism, and then he has all the shooting in Pyromancy, and then the debuffing as well as the flaming stuff from
There's
the...
a hell of a lot of points in Magic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's actually, I mean, speaking as a UD, somebody who played UD, it's a lot, but it's not like an insane amount. It's 1,200 points in Magic, which is a lot. But I mean, I think he's going to get a lot of value out of it as well. So And also, I think with the list setup he has, he's not going to lose the Quattles because the base list is quite skink heavy. So in the base, he has a unit of his combat block is like a unit of 30 skink braves with shields and 3 caimans and musician. But then he has 3 units of 15 skink braves with shields, 1 with a musician. Then he has 2 units of Petrodon sentries, so that's the flying guys with javelins. And then for countercharge, he has 2 Tarsaurs, 1 with a great bow and 1 with Engine of the Ancients. So I think as a base list, it's quite like, like it has like chaff, it has countercharge, it has like the core is quite like avoidancy to hide all your casters.
Yeah.
But then I think where it gets real good is when you with the 2 list variations. So in the first one, he goes for like full skink cloud. So he adds in a skink captain with light armor and a wildfire burst bow.
Yeah.
So I think this is. I'm not sure what the wildfire burst does.
It does 4 shots at strength 4, AP 1,
Okay.
and if
So it's just
the enemy unit is hit by it, then it reduces cover by 1 against that unit.
Okay, that's quite good. And I also think that this guy, he doubles up as another chaff piece because he's only 145 points.
Yeah.
Then he adds in 10 chameleons, so that's the ambushing or the scouting rather skinks with extra cover. Then he has 2 units of 10 skink hunters with blowpipe and vanguard, so that's the skirmishers. And then he has another 9 chameleons. So here he's like really going full avoidance and full shooting.
Yeah.
And then in the other list, it instead adds in 20 temple guards with command, and then 2 units of 3 Ramphadon riders. So that's the fighty flying monsters.
Okay, so there's like a very clear distinction between these 2 lists as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I as you said, like there's a distinction where you have the defensive list and the aggressive list. But I also really like the base where, and like when he can push and when he's safe, he can pop the slants or one of the slants into, or the Quattles rather, into the temple guard and push with like 2 monsters, like 2 fighting flying units, and still like a ton of chaff. Or he can sit back with all the chaff, and you're never gonna get any points from him, and he's gonna just shooting magic you off.
Yeah, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units that are like less than 230 points.
Yeah. So I think like also with his record, I think Colin's gonna do really well on this event.
Yeah, I mean we everyone knows that Colin is probably one of the better players on the tournament scene these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's the next one?
So now we come to UD. Or no, there's Sylvan Elves as well. But again, I wasn't actually quite sure about these lists. But maybe we can talk about one of them.
Sure. Give me 2
There's
seconds.
2, I think.
So let me just have a quick look. Not so interesting. This one's a bit more interesting. Okay, so we'll take the second one. So okay. Rory Stove's list. Rory's playing 2 lists that, in my opinion, are quite different. So we have the main list for each of them. The general is a Dryad Ancient, adept on divination. Druid Wizardmaster Shamanism. A Forest Prince on a dragon with a bow, silver blades of Titanic Might, Obsidian Rock. 23 Dryads with the champion. 10 Sylvan Archers with Musician champion. 5 Thief Riders with Hunters, so they shoot. 5 Thief Riders with Shield and Musician scoring. 4 Castral Knights with Shields, Musician champion. 10 Pathfinders. 9 Sylvan Sentinels with Scout. And then his 2 detachments are essentially the same, filling the same role in the army, but in 2 different ways. So he has a Thicket Shepherd BSB in one list, and he has the Blade Dancer BSB in the other list, and then 5 Thicket Beasts with a champion, and 13 Blade Dancers with Standard Bearer, Eth Icon, Musician champion. And then the Chieftain has Eth Icon, Silver Blades of Hero's Heart, the drums, and being a Blade Dancer. So This list is actually pretty similar to my kind of style Sylvaneth list. It's a bit mixed arms. It's got a bit of shooting. It's got some avoidance. It's got some blocks. It's got a dragon. It's got the Wizard Master and Shamanism that all sit in the archers, and then the general for divination that sits in the dryads. I actually quite like both of these lists. And then your choice is between, okay, do I think a stubborn block of trees is going to help more, or do I think blade dancers that are going to dish out a lot of low strength damage? Do I need that unit in this list? So I think it's quite interesting strategy, and yeah, I think it could really pay off. What's your impression, Casimir?
Yeah, I was a little bit unsure of when you pick, like, against what kind of opponents do you pick the different lists, I guess.
So the blade dancers are really good in general if the enemy doesn't have pyro or anything that can strike before them. So something like spear lines or stuff that the blade dancers will just bounce off. Anything which has like high armor and high resilience, but maybe like a lot of bodies. Something like Imperial Guard or a big block of Empire Spears or like
Like
even
I
like
guess.
parry stuff because of the Sylvan Blades. So compared to that, like the thicket beasts are just like more resilient.
Yeah,
So if you're going against anything that you want to grind out, let's say like ghouls or anything that basically that you need to take at least one or more turn to go through, with where the blade dancers are going to kill a lot but also die, then
yeah,
maybe the thicket beasts are a little bit safer option.
okay.
I don't think the two ether icons in the blade dance is really enough to dissuade pyromancy. So anything that kind of will reach out and kill the blade dancers, stuff that has like breath weapons or auto hits
Yeah,
like impact hits, units of chariots, that kind of thing.
okay. Yeah, I see.
But both units kind of fill a similar role. They can both be stubborn. Um, they both hit hard.
Yes, this is, I would say, like, this is, I guess, the other type of strategy of making a list, where instead of making a defensive aggressive list, you have, as you say, like two lists that do the same thing, but you kind of tailor the combat units or the shooting units to what you're going to face.
Yeah, exactly. So what do we have left? Undying
So we
Dynasties?
have, yeah, we have UD, VC, VS, and Warriors, I think.
Cool.
So the UD list, I think there's one that really stands out as being really interesting, and that's Chris Bond. So this list is a bit of a ride, I think. I think I really like it. So the base is a Pharaoh on Shah Guardian with Godslayer Great Weapon. So he's the monster character. So he can have a wide march bubble, and the Godslayer is the thing that does multiple wounds against Aegis save opponents.
Yeah.
Then he has two wizards, both are wizard masters. One is on a vacation with two binding scrolls and the Hierophant, and the other guy is on an Arc of Ages. So this is the war platform that allows your spells to get 6 inches extra range, and he's on divination. So quite a strong magic setup, I would say. Like the two best paths for UD, and with long range, and he's gonna have like all the combat and all the buffs and all the shooting he wants. Then he has a bunker of 24 skeletons with full command. Then he has 2 units of ambushing skeletons with Banner of the Entombed. So 20 skeletons that pop up just like scorpions and so on do, with musicians. Then he has 3 units of scouts for chaff, and then he has 2 dread sphinxes. So this is going to be like quite a mobile list, because the Shah Guardian is going to give you a wide march bubble, and the dread sphinxes are autonomous. So like he doesn't have to bubble like at all.
Yeah.
And then he has a lot of magic. So then for the 2 detachments, the first one, he has 2 units of Sandstalkers. So these are the guys that they're underground ambush, so they come up on the ground as well. And then they do like a lot of shooting attacks that have strength 2 again, but they wound against initiative.
Agility.
So they really, agility. They really like punish certain types of monsters and certain armies a lot. So they're quite matchup dependent, which makes them good to have in the detachment. And then for the other detachment, he has a unit of 6 cataphracts with underground ambush and full command.
Cool.
So I think again, this I would say is something that's like the two lists do like work very similarly, but it's based on like what matchup are you fighting, and then like what kind of ambushing unit do you need.
Yeah, do you need like a scoring unit that can fight, or do you need like a shooting unit that can come up and punk some monsters?
Yeah, exactly. And the Sandstalkers work really well as kind of weird chaff as well, because you can kind of come up in front of units and shoot them. So you're still doing something when you come up, but then you're standing in front of them so they can't charge, and then you put your free monsters 12.1 inches away from the front of the Sandstalkers, and then they have the options of, okay, do I charge the Sandstalkers so they don't shoot me, but then I get countercharge, or I just stand here and let them shoot me again.
Yeah.
Which is it can be quite good.
Cool.
I would say that the second list is the weaker, because just like one big unit of ambushing stuff can really hurt you, because if they don't come up, then you have, like in this case, 777 points that just don't contribute to the army if you're unlucky.
What do you mean if they don't come up?
So how the ambush works is that from turn 2, you roll a die, and on a 3+, they deploy that turn. But there's nothing saying that they have to come up. They just, like, if you don't roll that 3+ in any of your turns, then they just don't come up at all.
So if you roll it and you don't deploy it, do you have to roll again the next turn?
Well, exactly.
You
But you
roll
cannot-
every turn after the first.
Yeah.
And if you don't
I
roll
just
a
mean,
3+ the whole game, then they just die.
But like, let's say that I roll a 3+, but I'm not going to deploy them this turn.
You have to deploy them if you roll a 3+.
Oh, okay.
So that would be like that's the downside, that sometimes they come up too early, or in at the wrong time, and you don't have any good place of deployment. But I mean, usually you can just put them in your own battle line if if it doesn't make, like, there's no spot behind or at the flank of your opponent.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But and also I would say in this list is using something that's becoming more popular for UD lists, and it's the 2 units of ambushing skeletons. So these units, before they were really good, before they kind of fixed them. So you have to, like, you can no longer string them out in long lines in front of your opponent's army, but you can still deploy them as like a chunk of 20 wounds, which are essentially chaff or scoring. So if you need to score, some objective on the other side of the map, then you can put them where you want, or you can park them in front of a unit, and usually they can like take a charge and survive with 1 or 2 wounds if they don't get combo charged. So they're quite good chaff if you want to set up counter charges with them.
Cool. I really like them as well, and he's actually got quite a lot of chaff in this list, like 3x5 skeleton scouts as well.
Yeah, but I think he needs it because he doesn't have like a lot of like fighting. He doesn't have any blocks, right? Like a normal UD list would see like a chariot block and some Shaptis or so on.
I mean,
but now
are the Dread Sphinxes supposed to be doing the fighting?
Yeah. So I think that this list is kind of trying to kind of pick his combats, like avoid as for a bit, and shooting like kind of magic rather things, and then kind of set up the perfect combo charge for the monsters.
Okay, cool. So what's the next one? VC?
Yeah.
Did you choose one?
Yeah, I chose Jack Austin's list because it's always
Jack's already
fun.
talked to me about his list, so I want you to read it.
Okay, so he has essentially the base of the list is like a Baronite Death Star with all the vampires, I would say, and
All
then he
4
has,
of them.
yeah. Then he has like quite 2 like different additions to supplement that. So in the base list, there's a vampire count with he has the general with the extra race thing, Brotherhood of the Dragon with Eternal Duelists. He has a Spectral Steed, Wizard Apprentice and Occultism, Dusk Forced Shield, so that's the real armor save, and a plate armor.
Yeah, so he's 1 up your rollable with a 3 up against fire. He's got
Yeah, and then he also has
the Eternal
Reaper.
Duelist is every hit he gets an extra attack, I think. And then
Okay.
the Reaper's Harvest is Strength 10, AP 10, and
Ugh,
wounds against
what?
your discipline.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, but he is 800 points, but he's all of those 800 points, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He can also heal himself with occultism.
Yeah.
Reaper's Harvest sounds broken.
It's very good against warriors, Alex.
Yeah, lame as fuck. You mean? Oh my god.
It's like
Strength 10, AP 10.
But you
So
wound
I'm
against
just
your
gonna like.
discipline though, so your discipline's like fairly high.
Well, I mean, isn't most of the warriors discipline like 8 without characters?
No,
Like, how many attacks is he getting?
5, and then every hit or wound he does, he gets an extra one.
Yeah, so probably like 9-ish. Yeah.
Oh my god. What's his offense?
You don't want to know.
Tell me.
9?
Brotherhood of the Dragon with Eternal Duelist. That sounds like he's got pretty good offense. Yeah, okay, 9. So his offense 9, strength 10, AP 10.
Yeah.
What the flying fisticles is that?
Next time
That
we play
is
Alex,
so
I'll bring
weird.
it for you, and then you can see how good it is.
That's pretty rough.
So I'll just like bring all my units over to your house. We'll set up, and you'll be like, "So this is what this does." And I'm like, "Cool game. I guess I can pack my shit now."
Yeah.
It's like you like set it up, take some pictures, then you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave while you
So
take.
what are you supposed to do when you're fighting that douche?
Chaff it?
Yeah, like
Or
Chaff it.
evocation, snipe it?
yeah, like sniping is. I mean, they can heal, but if they really need to heal them before going into combat, you get to dictate a little bit more.
You can also just break the unit and crumble him to dust. It's only 10 Baronites and 4 vampires.
Yeah, so like for the for the rest of the list, he has 3 vampire courtiers on. I think they're all the same or almost all the same.
Yeah.
They're on a skeleton steed. They're wizard apprentices on occultism as well. They have plate armor, paired weapons, and a lance. And I think the last one doesn't have a lance. So these are all going to pile in together with the big vampire to make a fun star of funness. And I guess
they're there to what? Just like raise dead, raise dead, raise dead, raise dead.
yeah, and also fight.
Also fight pretty well. So this is the party bus of vampire courtiers. Basically, the vampires, the ones with lances, are pretty hitty. They have 4 attacks each with strength 7, AP 4, and so if the unit is charging you, then it's doing like, I mean, minus the vampire count that we kind of talked about. I mean, just in the front rank alone, it's like 12 attacks with strength 7.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I guess to be honest, like I probably take back what I said about sniping because this list doesn't have any other magic than raising, basically. So
yeah,
like,
it's got 3 or 4 raises.
Yeah, like every turn he's gonna get at least 2, or if you're lucky, just 1 raise off. So like you're probably not gonna be able to snipe faster than he heals. Because like if you 1 raise can heal 2 wounds, right, on a character.
No, only the necromancers can do that. Or only the general. There's only, I can't remember if it's gates to the netherworld. I think it's only necromancers who can do that.
Okay. Well, still.
Yeah.
So then in his core, he has a unit of 35 ghouls with a champion.
Oh, yeah.
2 units of 20 zombies with musicians, so that's probably going to be units of 40 zombies. And 2 units of 8 direwolves with champions, which are really, really annoying. Then he has the 10 baronites with full command, and then he has 2 units of 2 great bats,
which are also really good.
Yeah, so this is a pretty solid center of a list, I would say.
I agree.
So then I think where this is quite good, like a good list building thing, is that for his For his extra sideboard, he has either 2 Shrieking Horrors, or he has a unit of Vampire Knights with Blood Ties Brotherhood of the Dragon. Not sure what that does exactly.
That
And
gives
for
them plate armor and devastating charge +1 attack.
okay, so just a lot.
Cool.
And
So,
then
so
3 vampires.
6 more vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really like if you're facing something where the screams are good, or there's no cannons and things like that, then the Shrieking Horrors are amazing. And then otherwise you just have like
God.
another bus of vampires.
Have
It's
you
so
played against the
gross.
Shrieking Horrors yet, Alex?
No.
They're really rough.
They're really good against
well,
warriors as well.
So like turn 1, let's say, right? It's his magic turn. He don't need to heal nobody. So he's like gonna use his raised deads, his 4 raised dead spells, to like just make his ghouls or zombies or bats or whoever just like way bigger.
He can only do it on the zombies.
Yeah.
We can't do it on the ghouls.
No,
I thought you can grow the bats too.
only if you have a special power.
Okay.
Yeah, like this list isn't investing heavily in magic, so then it's just zombies then.
Okay. Well, I guess at least there's
Okay.
that, but still like
I guess you should watch out so he doesn't summon another zombie unit that he can grow as well.
Yeah. So what
So
I
he's
think
like-
I think as you said, like the Shrieking Horrors, they're really good against the armored stuff and the stuff that can kind of get around the sides of your army. Whereas the Vampire Knights is just another place for all the vampires to hang out and just make an even killier unit of death. Just Alex, just for reference, like the 10 Baron Knights are 430 points, and the 6 Vampire Knights are 718 points, just to give you an idea of the difference in killiness.
and smashability.
Yeah.
But like the Vampire Knights are gonna be, they're not even gonna be in the front row, right? So they're just getting like
No,
second
they'll
rank
just be the
attack.
champion.
So he's gonna have like, when he has those, he's gonna have the courtiers and a champion in the front row,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna have them. So then most of them are just gonna get a second row punch. Well,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
I guess the other 5, right?
But if I'm honest, I don't think he would run the characters in there. I think they're good enough on their own. They don't need the characters. They're like the hardest hitting cavalry in the game, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the only time I could see it is that if you need to throw somebody off at deployment or something like that, where you can technically have your bus be in 2 locations, depending on how they deploy. But probably not.
Yeah, probably
And
not.
what do the vampire spawn do? 3
They're like
vampire spawn?
flying ogres with no armor, and they have like a lot of strength 5 battle focus attacks. It's basically
Like they die
a
easily.
chaff unit that can hunt war machines and stuff.
Yeah, like
Okay.
they die really easily, but they also fight really hard.
Yeah, they're solid.
Yes.
But that 800 point fucking vampire count is just outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ugh. Like tell me that I have, that I can make something that disgusting.
And warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The entropic aura, that guy.
Yeah.
You just say, oh, by the way, your Reaper's Harvest no longer works, and your strike him at strength 5 AP 2.
Yeah. Also, his shield wouldn't work either. He doesn't get real to.
Yeah.
Doesn't get Dusk Forged, yeah.
Or Basalt.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's like that character is real good when it comes to character matchups, just because.
Yeah, Entropic Aura is super sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying like, but let's say I don't go with Entropic Aura and I just want to build a super kick-ass dude, not a guy that ruins somebody else's day because.
But I think that's
he
kind
takes
of
away
the
all
idea
toys.
of this character, is
Yeah.
to build a character that can ruin those kind of characters' day.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think this is like in our group of people in Denmark that we go to tournaments with. I think a lot of people are really into building characters that like are match up well against other like kitted characters. Like, and I think that's really something you need to take into account when you spend a lot of points in a character is that the thing that's going to counter them is most likely another character. So you need to be like have an answer for all the other character builds that are out there.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about like the entropic aura is, if he's in a fight against not a character, then he's not that great. He's just like a dude with a great weapon with 5 attacks. I guess it's still not terrible, but
Yeah, I mean, like you can still get a 1+ save and a 5+ ages, and then as you say, like a great
yeah, I
weapon.
mean, you can use some items to give him some boosts, but
Yeah.
I guess it's just like when I see stuff like this, you know, sort of like the sort of how long is your
Yeah, like the
is your
penis
kit
extension
is your
characters.
kit weighing, right? And then mine's just like cold water. That's what my character does. He just makes you jump in a pool of cold water and shrivel you up a bit. And that's like, there's something obviously fun about that, but it's sort of like my fun, like my badass character is just like nah, as opposed to oh yeah, you know, like
Yeah,
it's like, which is so funny because warriors, it just kind of, as an army, you would just expect them to be like oh yeah, you know, because they're warriors. It's like dudes with big weapons and big armor and
yeah. I guess they like
big
one
attitude.
you could say is that the warriors suffer a little bit from their like super killy weapon is a flaming weapon, which means that it's probably not very good in any character to character matchup because everybody brings flaming ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, the warriors, the like the health, what's it called, Hellfire enchantment? It's kind of
I-
their big killy thing, and that's not good in this matchup. And that's why this
yeah,
is
it's
really
like
good against that specific character.
yeah. Although like you would, I mean, you still like he still only quote unquote has a 3+ ages, so it's like I once fought against a Hellfire sword with like my Pharaoh with a 3+ ages, and
You're
like
talking about like the
it's
portent of doom or whatever it's called? Isn't that what
no,
it's called? The sword
maybe
you guys are talking about?
it's called that nowadays. But yeah, the flaming sword, and it's like if he gets to strike somebody with a 3+ ages, he still kind of has a good chance of just ripping through him in like 1 to 2 turns. But the problem with this character is that you probably don't get to strike.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean because you're dead already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the best defense.
He's also he's also pretty fast as well. I'm not sure if he's faster or as fast as a warrior guy, but yeah.
Isn't I mean the vampire has a higher agility, doesn't he?
I think it's 8, so I think it's the same.
Okay, well yeah, then it's
Oh
still
no,
charge, I guess.
maybe it's 7 actually. I think it's 1 less.
Huh.
But anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah. So
Sure.
then it's the question of do you want to talk about a Vermisworn list or
No,
not?
I do not want to talk about any Vermisworm list. They're all the same.
Yeah, it's basically all the same, and they all look super filthy because you don't have to paint 45 Plague Disciples to play on UB.
Yeah.
So then we're actually at the
Suits
Warriors.
me.
So do you want to go through these lists, Alex, and then you can maybe take some legwork?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's take let's definitely skip the one that doesn't have a multi-list.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
that's cheap.
let's start with Mr. Tanker Jones at the top.
Yeah, okay. So his regular army is a Chosen Lord on a Chimera with shield, Hellforged armor, Death Cheater, paired weapons, Lance, Great Weapon, Halberd, Obsidian Rock, and Greed. Okay, yeah. So he can he can press all the buttons if he wants. Then there's another Chosen Lord on a Chimera that's slightly cheaper with Hellforged armor, Gladiator Spirit. I'm guessing that's why he's cheaper. Yeah. Talisman of Shielding instead of Obsidian Rock, Dragonfire Gem, and Greed. Then he's got 10 warriors, lust champion, 10 warriors, lust champion, 15 barbs, two 8 packs of warhounds. I guess that's his core right there.
Yeah.
Then a chosen chariot, paired weapons, great weapon, halberd, greed, 2 of those, and 2 Feldrak elders. Okay. Well, I mean,
What do you think about the base list?
I think it's pretty cool that he's got basically, because when I think of putting some of these really juicy things in, I think, oh man, like at least the way that I've been building lists, like there's gonna be like only 8 units on the table, and that's gonna be trouble. But he's got like 11 with
Yeah.
that, which is pretty good. I think that's a pretty good, to me, like that's been my biggest problem is when I look at what to make, I'm like, oh, but it'll be so great if I have like 28 of those, and then and then I don't have money to buy anybody else. So it's tough. But like, two Feldrak elders with paired weapons, like as long as they're on other opposite sides of the map, then they're great. It's basically nothing's gonna bother them. The chosen chariots are super cool. I think greed is something that I haven't really gotten into. But it's interesting.
I think people are chaffing chariots a lot because they're afraid of the impact hit. So greed kind of makes sense.
Well, are you thinking about gluttony, Henry?
Oh, what's greed? Is that
Greed lets you use any of the weapons.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, my mistake. That's why it says
So I
paired
think-
weapons, great weapons, halberd.
Yeah, to me, greed just makes the unit a little bit more adaptable, and it's the same for the characters, right? Where instead of paying like a lot of points for a magic weapon on the characters, you just say, well, I'm gonna pick whatever suits this combat the best.
Yeah.
So it is like a cheap way to get your units to kind of fit whatever you put them into.
Yeah. So I think his choices for the detachments are quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're both it's a general or a general.
Yeah.
And
they're both magic
pretty
casters.
expensive. Yeah, I mean the Exalted Herald, you know how much I love them. I love them. They're my freaking heroes. I've been working on painting mine, and I'm so excited to get it done eventually. I've never painted anything so big, and it's intimidating because he's got so many things on him. But yeah, they're rad. I mean, the Exalted Herald to me is just it's amazing because you have so many things you can change in game time. So like, there's a lot of adaptability there. There's a lot of choices you get to make before the game starts, after you already know what the person's list is. So like, that's pretty rad, right? And then his sorcerer general is a Veil Walker on a Wasteland Behemoth. Wizard Master, Occultism, Light Armor, Paired Weapons, Lucky Charm. So that's pretty cool. Veil Walker gives him, what is it, extra Veil tokens?
I think it's the option to use your Veil tokens to boost your spells. So you can reroll to wound, or you can give extra range, or something like that.
Yeah, right.
It's really good with occultism because it lets you do a long Graves Calls.
Yeah, because Graves Calls is quite short range.
Yeah, but so he's got, because that's a Wizard Master, he's gonna channel 2.
No, channel 1.
Channel 1. So I mean, okay, so he's only getting +1, but I guess you're gonna have them either way to spend, so that's cool. Yeah, I think it's neat. I think as far as like the core units, 2 packs of 10 warriors with lust.
And you've been experimenting there with them a little bit, right?
Yeah, so lust is great for the flea. Obviously, I think it's really neat. And you can really you can like draw people in with it, which I think is great. because like a 10 block of warriors probably looks delicious to most people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, look at there's just 10 of those idiots just right out in front. Oh, that's great. Like let's just go eat that, and then you're like, I'm gonna run away. The 15 barbarians, I think, are just total chaff.
I think it's just a scoring unit. I think.
It's like, what are you gonna do?
I think he's going to use those for sacrificial stuff in occultism.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like those and maybe the warhounds, but he'll probably lose the warhounds really early because of how they work.
Yeah, I mean, the 8 warhounds, I think is funny because it's just like that just allows them to be core, right?
Yeah.
But like I have never been able to actually roll a die with warhounds. Like even if there's 8 of them, I still feel like they'd probably get obliterated in the first before they get to do anything.
Yeah, I mean it's literally only to take them as core. Like just because they can't reform in any way, I mean you kind of just need to throw them in front of your opponent on turn 1, or like either that or charge his chaff on turn 1.
Yeah,
But
I think this
for
list, you also
120
have
points,
to
it's cheap.
think like this list has a lot of like scary stuff. Like you've got 2 Feldrak Elders with paired weapons, 2 Chosen Chariots, which are no fucking joke. You've got 2 Chosen Lords on Chimera, and then you're adding to that an Exalted Herald or a Sorcerer on a Behemoth. I think those Warhounds are going to be able just to run in front of the enemy turn 1, and then the whole army is just coming up behind. I think it's a pretty solid list, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is probably the best list that we've seen so far, or the best 2 pair of lists.
You think so? Like, what is the like? I don't quite understand like when you would pick either of the 2 detachments.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, the thing with the Herald is, I feel like you pick that if you think that the Sorcerer, if the Wasteland Behemoth is just going to get smoked.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because like the Herald, like I said, is super diverse. Like it's quite adaptable, but the Behemoth is gargantuan, so you can shoot that shit down before he gets to do anything. And he's got your general and magic caster on it.
Yeah, I guess the Herald is a lot more like he can hop around a little bit more and avoid stuff.
Yeah, I mean he's smaller, he's more agile. He's and if you put wings on him, he can fly over units and stuff.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing in the singles at ETC, I had a game against Beast Urge or something, where like the Herald never saw combat, but from like turn 3 or something, he was always behind his units, just hopping around, throwing missiles and stuff, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's cool.
So have you been inspired in any way by this list, Alex?
I don't think I'm gonna be painting 2 Chosen Lords on Chimeras anytime soon. But I already have a Chosen Chariot. I have one, so I could definitely use that.
I think something else in this list which is really good is that he has 2 of everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of times people will have answers for 1 Chosen Chariot or 1 Feldrak Elder, but when there's 2 of everything, it also makes it much more difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and it's also a joy to like deploy and stuff. Like I really like where everything can be symmetrical and so on.
OCD there.
Yeah.
It's like don't care what's going on the other side of the map. Let's just have it be a balanced deployment.
Yeah. I mean, like that's
take a picture, Instagram it. We'll put it on the Hammer Time Twitter page. Just look how sexy this is.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's how I used to build my UD lists. I'm like, okay, in the center, I want this block, and then I need 2 like units for the flanks because they have to be on either side of it. Yeah.
Hey, well, if it works for you, then it works. Should we look at another?
Yeah.
Another one.
So
okay, there's Luke and there's Matt and there's Tom.
Let's go for Luke next.
Okay. So Luke's base starts with an Exalted Herald General and a Sorcerer Wizard Adept Evocation with Plate Armor, Paired Weapons, Book of Arcane Mastery, and the Crystal Ball. What does the Arcane Mastery book
Gives
do for
+2
you
on
again?
the first spell.
The first spell every turn?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
that's
And,
very
and Crystal Ball is the one that fucks with somebody else's spells, is that right?
Yeah, you choose one wizard on the enemy's army, and that gets -1 to cast.
Yeah, that's just so mean. It's like, fuck you.
But it's only good if they have one wizard, right? If they have 2 wizards or something, then it's not as good.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
depends on if
actually
there's a
not-
certain spell you want to get rid of.
Yeah, it's actually not -1 to cast. It's +1 to dispel.
Okay. +1 to dispel against that wizard.
Yeah, so it doesn't it only really makes it easier for you to dispel their spells.
Okay.
You can also pick their most powerful caster, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, then he's got a Barbarian Chief on a Shadow Chaser with Heavy Armor, Ghostly Guard. Ooh, he's really protected. Throwing Weapons, Paired Weapons, Hand Weapons, Symbol of Slaughter, and Dragon Staff. What? You can put. Okay, it's a pair. The Symbol of Slaughter is a Paired Weapons. It's for his paired weapon.
Hand weapon must be a typo, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Symbol of Slaughter is for the paired weapons. That's cool. So he's pretty smashy.
It's like a cheap chaff character with a breath weapon, which can be useful in some situations.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But he's still like, Symbol of Slaughter is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like it. It's a really interesting build for the price. I think what you get is really good. I think it's a 2-up save
290
with Ghostly Guard, or maybe even 1-up. And yeah, the Dragon Staff is fun.
So then he's got a block of 18 warriors with Gluttony. Num num num. Ether Icon, Musician Champion. Then 60 barbs, throwing weapon musician, 16 barbs, throwing weapon musician. 6 chosen with halberd, sloth, and champion. 6 chosen with paired weapons and gluttony. A chimera, and 5 flares, shield, light lance, throwing weapons.
Don't really get this, but
No lash.
So are the small units of chosen that aren't RAF, are they good?
Yeah, but I don't know why you would want to choose sloth.
Yeah, I mean, I would only use sloth if I had a unit of 10.
Yeah, I agree. Gluttony with paired weapons.
So he's just expecting to go up in strength, but I don't think you're gonna chaff a unit of 5 chosen.
No, and they're not that good that they're not so good that they're actually going to win combats.
Yeah, so it seems pretty wasted.
6 chosen with halberds is going to be 3x2, right?
Yeah.
18 attacks, and then the sloth gives you
+1 res if you don't move
defense.
over 10.
Yeah. So more survivability with 18 attacks.
Yeah, but it's still it's 12 wounds, I guess. It's not a lot of wounds, I wouldn't say.
It's true. And the 5 chosen with paired weapons and gluttony, I think that's he basically wants to chase those in with somebody else to make sure he wins a combat, right? I mean, he's got the 18 warriors with gluttony as well.
And then the two units of 16 barbarians, I don't quite see what the utility, I guess.
It makes sense with one of the detachments, but not the others.
Oh, okay.
So let's look at the detachments.
Yeah, but just before we start there, the 5 flares with shield, light lance, and throwing weapons. So these guys don't have lash, is that right?
No,
Yeah,
they have throwing weapons instead.
I just think that's.
I agree. I think the lash is really good.
Yeah, but
okay, but anyway,
more expensive, I guess.
So 6 Feldrex with halberd, 1 wretched one, This is wretched one. I shouldn't say wretched ones.
Yeah.
And a chimera, a second chimera. And the other one is 6 Forsworn with Damnation and Spike Shield, 1 wretched one, and a Helma with 1 Ominous Gateway.
Yeah, so I'm not really so sure about this list. I think the Forsworn kind of need a Doomlord to make them work.
Yeah.
He's got the Damnation on them, so that means they'll turn into wretched ones.
Like, if I'm honest,
They lose.
this definitely seems more like somebody who's like, I don't know if he is, but it looks like somebody who's quite new to list building.
I would agree, without being too harsh.
Yeah, it looks a little bit. So it looks a little bit like this is the stuff that I have kind of a list.
Yeah, but
like
it's on UB, I assume. So
yeah, exactly. So that's why it's interesting.
yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
I really like the one wretched one, because you never see it anymore, but that was like way back in the Warhammer Fantasy days. That's how they used to be played. You just had these like annoying little guys who are unbreakable, but they're just one of them. So you think that they like they're not going to do anything, but then they just stand in front of your thing for like way too long.
Yeah.
I definitely prefer like a block of 4 2x2.
Yeah.
I think that's really tasty.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on the single wretched one either.
Yeah, like
That's
I don't think
also
it's good. It just brings back good memories. Yeah.
again, that's like part of my problem is that like I want to have. I mean, if I could find the points, I'd have 2 packs of 6 of them.
Yeah.
You just
'Cause
need all
they're
the
so-
Feldrax as well.
Yeah, it's like I need 12 wretched ones. I need 6 Feldrax. I need,
2 Feldrak Elders, like a dragon, a behemoth, everything.
yeah, just like a couple of why can't I just have like a couple of units? What's the problem? So anyway, so which one did you think which one of these makeups do you think works together, Henry? Because you said one of them it works with.
Well, I think that the Helmor is really good with the infantry. So that in that respect, the Chosen work
Because
a bit better because they can like bounce around the board, especially the barbs with the throwing weapons. And
Barbarians don't get the protection from the toxic attacks, though.
yeah, they're gonna take a lot of hits when they go through.
Doesn't really matter. It's only barbarians.
Yeah, I guess.
So in that respect, I can understand the choices a bit more, but the Forsworn don't really work with the Helmor so well, at least without the Doomlord, because you used to be able to kind of pop them up, and then whatever charge you, you're going to be stubborn and killing everything. But they don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
and the wretched ones, and if the Forsworn do turn into wretched ones, it's very difficult. I don't even know if you can move the wretched ones through the gateway. I don't think you can. So in that respect, it doesn't really combo very well. So yeah, I'm not really sure about this list either. Maybe we should.
Yeah, but maybe it's just somebody who is new to Warriors.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see if Luke smashes hard.
Yeah.
With this list.
Maybe he will prove.
Okay.
So Matt Paris.
Shall we take a look at another?
The big game hunter himself.
Yeah, Matt Paris. Here we go. So let's see. His core or his base army is a sorcerer general with Veilwalker on a black steed, wizard master evocation, plate armor with alchemist alloy, rod of battle, and Lord of the Damned. Nice.
This is right up your
Love
street, Alex.
Lord of the Damned, Yeah. And then he's got a 20 warrior block with paired weapons. Great. Okay, greed guys again. So any weapon, standard bearer, zealot's banner. So that's the second rank, gets full attacks.
Yeah.
Or additional attack. Yeah.
Additional attack. Yeah.
Yeah. And then musician champion, and then 10 barbarian horsemen with great weapon, shield, musician. 2 stacks of 6 Feldrax with halberds, standard, banner of discipline, and musician. Hello,
It's a
daddy. Although I like the paired weapons more myself, but that's just me.
Absolute filth.
Two-
Absolute filth. This.
Two bomber squads of 6 wretched ones, just to ruin everyone's day. From Lord of the Damned, I love it. 5 flares with shield and bow. 5 flares with shield. Still, nobody wants to have the lash.
I think it's more like if you're gonna really use them as chaff, then it might just be too much points to add on the lash.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know exactly how much it costs, but I think like if your idea is really I'm going to put these in front of somebody's unit quite early, then you're probably not going to get value out of a lash.
Yeah, but you get you can park them up 1 inch in front of somebody and still do the lash.
Yeah,
But then you only use it once.
Yeah, what are you giving up? I guess is the question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the diversity there. Sorry, I went too far. The 2 packs of 6 wretched ones are his reserves or whatever they're called for the first group. And then instead of that, he's got 8 warrior knights with great weapon, wrath, standard, bear, musician champion, and 7 warrior knights, great weapon, wrath, standard, bear, musician champion. So he's got a dude with Lord of the Damned that doesn't use Lord of the Damned in one of his armies.
Yeah, like
it's only 35 points though, so
yeah. Okay.
But to me, I think the first list is really good. Like when I look at that, it looks really scary, and I get that in some matchups, the wretched ones are probably pretty bad if you face like Pyro or something. But I don't quite know if the 2 warrior knight units is the right replacement. What do you guys think?
I think it works because, as you said, the wretched ones are pretty good against Pyro or bad against Pyro, and then the warrior knights are really good against Pyro because of the armor save. So if you're playing against someone who has alchemy, then you're going to take the wretched ones because the meat of your list is not really affected by that. But then if you're playing someone who has Pyro, then you take the warrior knights for the exact same reason.
Okay.
At least that's my opinion on this one.
Yeah, but I think the base list is really good.
Yeah, I mean 12 Feldrax, you can't really go wrong, can you?
Yeah.
It's gross. It's gross. I like it.
Yeah, Matt just ran this similar list in in the tournament last week, and he won the tournament in the weekend. And it was a 3,000 point tournament, and he had I think 12 Feldrax again.
Yeah.
It was absolutely disgusting, and he feels bad about it, but yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
I guess the problem is just where do you get Feldrax from these days? That's really the only problem.
You just never play in reality because of Corona, so you just play UB. That's the way.
I just we ordered those Feldrax a while back, and then Corona hit, so it's been hard to get them to come. But like, I just feel like I should have ordered 4 sets of 3 instead of 1.
Well, I think I'm not on the inside of the project, but there is a balancing update coming out. I guess I don't know if soon is the right word, but it is being worked on, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So they might see some changes.
Yeah, they might get a little bit of a nerf bat soon, Alex. So no rush on those.
But what's the point? I mean, they're not. I don't see them going and like tampering, like batting down, high elves or anything like that. Boring town blade masters aren't getting nerfed,
because they're not broken.
Sure they are. They ruin every game. They're ruiners. Unless you can shoot them, they are ruiners.
Yeah, that's why we should play dwarves, right?
Yeah, that's why I have to print an army of dwarves just to come and hang out at your house, Henry, and ruin every Sunday.
I'll just
in
bring my B-Swords, it'll be fine.
perpetuity. Yeah, that's the one annoying thing about you is you have so many fucking armies to pick from. You can just be like, oh, I think I'll play these guys. It's like, ugh.
So, hey
I need
dude,
you-
you
I
want to
need
play
you
High
to-
Elves this week? Nah, gonna play Vampires instead.
I need to see you draft your army list before I tell you what I'm bringing. Anyway,
do that
yeah.
one day.
So now we've got Tom Clues.
Yeah, I think this is the last one.
Yeah.
So go for it, Alex.
So yeah, right. Sorcerer, General, Wizard Master, Evocation, Plate Armor, Alchemist, Ally, Magic Heirloom, Rangers, Boots. Then 2 stacks of 10 Warriors with Lust. Oh, more runny. Banner of the Relentless Company, so they can run up first pretty far and then run back. Or they can retreat and then run back into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
point.
last turn,
Which is
march
pretty
from
cool.
like way away onto objective.
Yeah. 9 Fallen. Haven't seen a lot of Fallen in lists. That's nice.
Yeah,
Nice to
I
see
think
some Fallen.
This is the Wizard Bunker Fallen.
10 Chosen. Halberd Sloth Musician. There's another Sloth.
Yeah, so this is how I would probably play them with
So
like.
this is a 10 banger.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
Just
30 attacks. It's gross. 10 Warrior Knights, Great Weapon, Wrath. Standard Bearer with Wasteland Torch, Musician Champion. Okay. Chosen Chariot with Lust. So another fleeing unit. Battle Shrine. 5 Flayers. 2 Feldrak Elder with Halberd. Oh, so my bad. The Warrior Knights and the Chosen Chariot are his flex group. But Battle Shrine straight up.
Yeah.
5 Flayers straight up. 2 Feldrak Elders with Halberds straight up. Main army. So Flexitarian, 10 Warrior Knights just in a stack to just great weapon you in the face. And I guess Wrath is really not a big deal with Warrior Knights since like they have so much armor.
Yeah, I mean the Wrath with the Great Weapon is the combo. Because you strike at agility, because you get lightning reflexes, and you get +1 agility. So these guys are fucking mean machines that running in, striking really fast, even if they get charged. So they're going to strike. This is the kind of unit, Alex, that you need to kill elves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they strike at the same time as the elves, but so it's kind of mutual destruction.
Yeah, and they
It's
have
just
all the armor as
so-
well. So they're probably not even get destroyed. Like this will kill a unit of Swordmasters, no problem.
I gotta say, like hobby wise, it is so exhausting to think like, because I've got 10 Warrior Knights, but they've all got like lances or spears or maybe I don't think maybe you could call them great weapons, but and shields and stuff, right? And it's like, okay, now I need to paint 10 more with great weapons.
I think those ones, you have the GW ones, right?
Yeah.
I mean they can pass for great weapon guys. They also have shields.
Yeah, they also have shields.
Yeah, and the great weapon guys also have shields. So
yeah,
okay.
I think it's fine. Like there's the really modern Games Workshop Warrior Knights have like really like long lances, but the old ones they kind of look like some kind of cavalry halberds almost, I think.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I maybe positioned them in a bad way to stack them 10, so there might be riding ass to ass, but whatever. It's fine. Didn't think that through when I was gluing them together. Okay. So then his B stack is, instead of the 10 Warrior Knights with the great weapons and the Chosen Chariot with Lust, it's 2 squads of Feldraks, 4 Feldraks with halberds. 1 with a standard bearer and musician, the other one just with a musician. So more Feldraks, which is cool. I like Feldraks. I guess the downside of having 2 Feldrak Elders and then 2 stacks of Feldraks is that like Feldraks, think of everything else as insignificant. So if you're like in range of each other on the field and you start losing Feldrax, you get some running Feldrax.
Yeah. I really like Matt Parris' solution of Banner of Discipline on the Feldrak units.
Yeah,
That's what
because
keeps
that
them
gives
from
them
running.
reroll panic test, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's maybe how he gets around that Alex.
Yeah, smart.
But I guess it only really makes sense if you have a big unit. Like, I'm not sure you would if you have a unit of 4. Like, I'm not sure if it's worth it.
Probably wouldn't bother, would you?
Yeah, but if like a unit of 6, then yeah, definitely.
And
then you might as well
they
have
don't have a
2
BSB
units of
either,
6
so
with
if you're
damage.
losing those combats, then you also get a reroll because the rest of the army is rerolling discipline tests because it's warriors, but the Feldrax don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really their weakness.
I mean, it's pretty fun. Lots of small stuff or like big monsters. Battle Shrine by itself, I haven't considered running, but at 285, it's doesn't cost that much to basically have 2 wretched ones and a spell.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I guess like what spell do you take on the Battle Shrine in this list?
You have to. I mean, from the ones you can pick.
Yeah, but I guess maybe it picks what's it called, the Grave Calls or something. Because you have Evocation on the guy already, and you have Magical Heirloom, so you're gonna have Hereditary, and you already have, like, if you want it, you have Whispers of the Veil. So the only thing that's really left with Battle Shrine is to go for the big.
Can't you take Comet on the Battle Shrine?
No, it's only if you have
No.
Wisdom Master on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not also not entirely sure about the spell selection of Battle Shrine, because I mean usually when you see single Battle Shrines without characters, it's in a list where you don't take almost any magic characters at all. So you could take like 2 Battle Shrines and then some Icons of the Infinite, and you don't have to take a wizard.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting.
That was it was a while ago now, but like a year or a year and a half ago, that was quite popular.
I would not want to paint 2 Battle Shrines. I'm still depressed because my putty didn't dry on the first one, and I have to redo my rocks. So I'm like,
so what happened?
I'm still just like sitting with my arms crossed and my lower lip stuck out, being like, I don't want to. I don't. Nah.
Sorry, but what happened?
I was using milliput or whatever, and I just mixed it wrong, I guess, is the issue. So like it didn't dry. Not all of the rocks that I made like dried, so they're still tacky. Like 3 months later.
Wow. Okay.
If you want to learn a little bit about how to use milliput, you can go on HPM Hobby and look at some videos about how to use milliput. Here's a video
HPM
on that.
Hobby, eh? I heard that was run by a guy named Henry P. A shifty fella. No, it's really cool. Yeah, I think it's really neat. It's a good opportunity to tell people about it. So Henry started this hobby YouTube channel, right, where you're now like video recording yourself doing some hobby work.
Yeah.
Which I think is really nice because although I do like it when you do a column in the scroll about it, I think actually like seeing you like work over something in real time takes a little bit more of the like mystery and confusion out of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like when I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do any custom stuff, and you were like, just come over to my house, I'll help you do it. And then I just like watched you like work on Duncan, for example, for a bit, and I was just like, oh, this doesn't look so bad. Duncan, by the way, is Henry's battle shrine that he's making, which is like a giant woolly mammoth, which used to be like it's like an elephant from
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
that you just like turned into a woolly mammoth with milliput.
Yeah, I chopped him up and gave him some fluff.
Yeah, and he looks rad. I mean, he's a good looking elephant now.
Just need some paint.
Yeah, but those are. I mean, it's really cool. Gave me like the confidence to start working on some stuff myself, where I otherwise never would have done it. So, if anybody out there is trying to get into that part of the hobbying, right, a little bit more custom build stuff, Frankensteining and that sort of stuff, keep your eyes peeled on that. Subscribe to that YouTube channel because
Yeah, or
sure
even
Henry's going to get into it.
even if you're not planning on doing some yourself, but you want something custom made, then get in touch and I can give you a price.
Oh, right on.
So back to
yeah,
the list
that's cool.
building. So maybe
Right.
we should talk about the two detachments in the list. We said again about the warriors being kind of
Yeah.
the knights with the great weapons being like this kind of hard hitting unit that is good against alchemy, rather good against pyro. And then it's a bit interestingly in this list that he's gone for 2 units of 4 Feldrax instead of the wretched ones. So what do we think about this one?
I mean, Feldrax are mean either way.
But is there a choice between like Feldrax and Warrior Knights?
Yeah, like that's what I thought in this case. I don't see really when he's going to use one or the other.
Yeah,
Oh, I see
I'm
what
not
you
so
mean.
sure.
I mean, I just think the Warrior Knights will probably still soak up more. I don't know. I mean, with Wrath, you get +1 to hit, +1.
You get lightning reflexes, so it's not +1 to hit.
No. I mean,
you've got
the
great
guys
weapons.
that are attacking against you with Wrath.
Yeah, true.
Like,
but I think the Feldrax are just better in most cases, right?
yeah, but it's 4.
Yeah.
4 of them, 2 squads of 4.
Which is what?
Which is 8 total.
16 hit points.
Yeah.
Whereas the Knights, like 1 unit of 10 is 10 hit points.
And the Chosen Chariot.
Well, I guess maybe this is something that is going to counter units like the Swordmasters.
Yeah, I guess the Chariot as well. It's kind of saying, okay, well, if I'm fighting elves or anything that strikes first, then maybe I'll take this.
Yeah, and if you're worried against that somebody's going to be good against low armor targets, then the Feldrax might not be the best.
I mean, they're still 3 up.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I guess it's again like these things do almost the same things. It's very much like you look at your opponent's combat blocks and you say, well, when do I match up badly against this?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's less obvious than in other lists, maybe.
Yeah. So what do we think overall about this? Firstly, about the format of the tournament.
I think it's quite interesting as a tournament format, especially. I mean, since it's on UB, I think it's a really good opportunity now during Corona and so on to do this because people can actually have a sideboard without bringing like a shit ton of models to an event, for example.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Alex? Because obviously you've not played in any tournaments yet, but would this be something that you'd be interested in?
I mean, I definitely think it's interesting. For me, like the meta gaming of like coming up with lists that deal with different setups. So like having a toolbox when you go to a tournament or whatever is definitely really cool. But I think for me, if I was in actuality me going to a tournament, I think right now I would because I'm so new to the pressure, like the tournament pressure, I would just want one army just so I would basically like study my army.
Yeah,
super
so you
hard.
know it, right?
Just so I can move faster on some of this stuff and save time. Because I think the main thing that would happen to me at a tournament is that I would be really slow and I wouldn't get all my turns, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then I would end up having to pretty much lose to people because, out of courtesy, because I'm a noob, just be like, well, even if I'm winning, I'm the one going so slow that you don't get a chance to recover. So I guess you're
Don't
gonna
worry,
win.
that's not a thing in Denmark.
What, going slow?
Well, no, that is the thing in Denmark. But the whole like losing because you're too slow, like there's a lot of slow players in Denmark.
Okay.
But also
Well,
the odds are like 5 eternities long. So
Yeah, depends whose tournament you go to. So was there any standout list for you guys?
yeah, I would say. I mean, I think Colin's list is really good. And then like my personal favorite is the UD list with the stalkers and stuff. I'm not sure if it's like how well it's gonna work, but I really like the concept. Seems really cool, and it's if he can pull it off, I think it can be really good.
Cool. For me, I really like Tanker's list, as I said before. I think the 5 threats that are just running at you is pretty frightening, and he's the kind of person that can pull it off. So I
Yeah,
think that's maybe something to watch out for if you're at this tournament. How
I
about you,
think
Alex? Anything interesting?
2 6-packs of Feldrax with 2 6-packs of Wretched Ones and a Lord of the Damned sounds dirty.
Matty P's extravaganza list.
yeah, definitely, and it's
Dirty.
So Matt, I know that you listen to the
It-
podcast, so even Alex, who's like a complete noob, can see that you're bringing absolute filth.
No, I love it. I can't wait. But I don't even. I feel like, yeah, okay. So the one situation where you don't pick the Wretched Ones is if they have Pyro, right?
Yeah, basically. But it's
Which is
also
like
pretty good against elves, the wretched ones.
Infernal Dwarves, there are a lot of in the tournament. So I guess there's
Yeah.
so many ID guys. He's probably gonna play at least one of them.
yeah, but that's why he has the other version, I guess, because the other version is really resilient against the ID because he has the Feldrocks, or they don't care about flaming, and then the Warrior Knights are also really good against flaming.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So let's wrap up. Thanks for listening to the show. As we mentioned previously, I have a new hobby channel that I'm working on. It's called HPM Hobby. You can find it on YouTube, and I post videos up there reasonably regularly. Try and get one up a week about different kind of aspects of the hobby that I'm working on, or if I have some interesting thoughts. For example, the one with Milliput. So please like and subscribe that channel so you get updates and I get followers and recognized. And also, if you can, it would be fantastic if you could share it. Otherwise, you can get in touch with me at amatimedk@gmail.com for anything Amatime related. And I think you can also get in touch with the other guys on the forum.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you just check out the painting blog?
Yeah, you can write to us on the Amatime P-log, which is on the user blog section as well.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at AmaTimeDK also. And I think when you search for Henry's YouTube channel, make sure it's all one word, so it comes up.
Yeah, there's also if you're going on YouTube to look for it, it needs to be all one word because another one is like some kind of model car thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So thanks for listening once again, and we will join you on the next show. Cool.
Right on.
Job done.
Great.
Good job, homies.